In our last video, we showed you how we turned a completely bare garage into a surprisingly organised storage system without spending a fortune. Now it's time for the fun part, the machines. I should warn you, if your partner is anything like mine, this video might be dangerous to watch together, because what you're about to see is what happens when someone with a very specific kind of obsession is let loose with a workshop budget. I said one machine. He heard as many as can physically fit in a single garage. We have since come to an understanding. But here's the thing, it actually works. And more importantly, he didn't blow the budget doing it. Every machine you're about to see was chosen deliberately, hunted patiently, and bought smart. No impulse buys, no buyer's remorse. The rules were simple. 1. Buy the right machine once, even if it means waiting, sometimes almost a year. 2. Look secondhand and watch for proper deals, Black Friday, clearances, that sort of thing. 3. If it comes into the garage, it moves, because this is still just a single garage, not a furniture warehouse. Let's go through everything, what we got, what we paid, and yes, what we almost paid. Before we even get to the proper machines, meet this trolley. Joris bought it years ago for a tiny rental flat. It is not what you would call a workshop aesthetic. It has a slight wobble, but it's solid. It's on wheels and it has shelves. And it looks considerably better than a stack of 2x4s on casters, which is apparently a thing people build on purpose and are proud of. On top of it, this 300mm bench sander, which was completely free, a hand-me-down from my dad. And Dad, if you're watching, thank you, we love you. We will not be giving it back. It had collected years of dust, which is ironic given that its job is to make dust. A bit of WD-40 and some wire wool later, it is shining perfectly again. Not glamorous, works perfectly, and rolls out the way when it's done. That is the entire philosophy of this workshop in one sentence. But that's just the warm-up. The real machines start now. Right, the router table. We had built a foldable one before. There's a link up here. It was great for our rental with no workshop, but now we have a proper space, so we wanted something more robust. We looked at building our own. Joris had designs. He had browser tabs, many browser tabs. And then this appeared on eBay, a trend router table for £80 from a retired gentleman who had bought it 10 years ago and never used it. Not once. Practically brand new. He had also built a very sturdy base to go with it, included in the price. Now, Joris chose to clean up and paint the base on what I can only describe as the warmest day of the winter. He was out there, angle grinder in hand, breathing on his fingers. I made tea and watched from inside with the heating on, like a sensible person. Once treated, the base went straight onto casters, bolted directly to the feet, no separate plywood trolley. We genuinely can't work out why people build a whole extra trolley when there's already a base there. If you know why, let us know in the comments. We are not joking, we'd love to understand. For the router itself, we wanted something powerful with height adjustment without removing it from the table and without a DIY lift or buying one. Trend makes two models that drop straight in, the T8 and the T12. We watched prices for months and grabbed the T8 on a proper sale for £210. Total £290. Comparable setup, all new, easily £500. Of course, setting it all up accurately takes a very steady hand and a very focused mind. Does he have what it takes? It's perfect now. And when we need the floor back, the whole thing rolls away in about 10 seconds. Next, and this is Joris's favourite, the Bandsaw. The Axminster Workshop AW1950B, which is a name only a woodworker could find exciting. And yet, here we are. This will be the main cutting machine in the workshop. Versatile, accurate, and before anyone types it in the comments, no, there is no table saw, not in this space. 3 reasons. 1. A table saw takes up a permanent amount of floor space which we simply don't have. 2. A circular saw handles most of what a table saw does for a fraction of the footprint. And 3. A table saw is one of the most dangerous machines a DIYer can own. That's probably worth its own video, but not today. This one was a proper watch and wait job. We knew roughly what we wanted, we knew the normal price, and we just awaited. Black Friday hit, the discount came, we bought it. Same machine, smaller number, that's the whole game. What makes this model stand out in a small garage? Two things specifically. First, you can change the blade from the side without removing the fence rail. It sounds minor, but when you're working inches from a wall and other machines and not having to half dismantle the saw just to swap a blade is genuinely life-changing. I was informed this is a big deal. I believe him. Second, dust collection from both top and bottom, which means less fine dust drifting around looking for somewhere to land, like your lungs for instance. Casters went on using the factory drilled holes in the base, roll it out for infeed space, tuck it back in when done. No dedicated trolley, it already has a base. Good machine, bought smart, it moves. But here's the problem with powerful cutting machines. They make an enormous amount of dust. Dust extraction is not the exciting part of a workshop video, but breathing is quite important. So here we are. We picked up this Axminster 1500 watt extractor second-hand on eBay for £150. Brand new, it's around £350. That's £200 saved before it was even turned on. Now, the dust bag that came with it is, frankly, decorative. It catches the big chips and cheerfully distributes the fine dust everywhere else, including, presumably, your face. So we upgraded it. 1 micron fine filter cartridge bought in a sale for £150. It has little arms that knock the dust off the cartridge automatically, keeping suction strong and extending the filter's life. So for roughly the cost of a basic new extractor, we have a much more capable machine with proper filtration. That's not a compromise, that's just maths. It lives on its own wheeled base, obviously. When you're at the bandsaw, it's there. When you're at the thicknesser, it follows along like a loud, very helpful dog. Nothing is permanently plumbed, everything moves, small space, that's the rule. Oh, and because it's the tallest machine in the workshop, there are a few centimetres of clearance above it. So naturally, hooks went up there immediately. Every centimetre counts. And then there's this, the DeWalt thicknesser. Probably the most expensive looking machine in the workshop. One of the most talked about on YouTube because it genuinely is one of the best in its category. Brand new, £540. Most second-hand listings, £400 or more. We paid £300. And guess where we found it? Another fantastic pensioner on Facebook Marketplace. Again, great condition, minimal wear, looked like it had done a handful of projects, not a decade of hard labour. We ran it, listened to it, checked the bed and rollers, and bought it on the spot. Patience, second-hand market, check it over properly, don't rush it. It now lives on a £25 Amazon trolley with shelves and casters. And yes, we know we could have built one from construction timber for a similar price. We didn't build one. Sometimes the smart choice and the easy choice are the same choice. And that's okay. The trolley is admittedly a touch wobbly, but the thicknesser will be running on the workbench anyway. The trolley's only job is to move it in and out of the way, which it does perfectly. At this point, the main machines were in, but there was still one very unglamorous problem left to deal with: fine dust. Because even with the extractor doing its job, the shop vac still has a role. Detail work, cleanup, anything the big machine misses. The vacuum and cyclone live on their own trolley, grabbed anew for about £22. Remember, you do not need to build everything. The whole dust chasing setup can just follow us around the garage wherever we're working. No fixed positions, just flexible, organised chaos. We are just missing one last machine, an air filter to clean the air from all the fine dust that may escape, but that's for later. You may ask, where is the pillar drill? Well, we ran out of space and we already have this drill guide, which we bought on a discount a couple of years ago and serves just as well. And then there's this, our old coffee table. I thought we were getting rid of it. It is now a timber storage trolley. I have genuinely stopped being surprised. And honestly, that's the spirit of the whole thing. Nothing bought on impulse, nothing wasted. Everything chosen deliberately, sometimes over months, and everything on wheels. Because that's how you make a small space work hard. You don't buy your way to a better workshop, you think your way there. In the next video, we finish the setup by transforming this basic woodworking bench into a highly functioning, robust one. And that's when it all starts to make sense. If you missed how we set up the storage side of the workshop, follow the link in the description. And if you also share ambitious ideas about a garage workshop, drop us a comment. We genuinely love to know we're not alone. If we can do it, you can do it. See you on the next one.